We've almost covered the entire Star Trek franchise in our special Talkin' Trek series that's run all year. Lee Sargent is back again today to talk TNG films.
Now, in its 7th year of podcasting, Trekzone presents a Trekzone conversation with your host, Matt Miller.
Well, we're continuing this theme of Talkin' Trek, the movies, as we get really close to Christmas 2019 at recording time and releasing time. Lee Sargent is back. He's still sitting in the same chair wearing the same clothes as he was yesterday. It's pretty disgusting, Lee Sargent.
It is pretty, yeah, well, he's not so much discussing my personal hygiene, he's more talking about the weather that we're seeing in Brisbane.
But look, unlike yesterday, let's talk in sequence, and let's start with the second half of Generations, the next generation part of it.
The boring bits. I mean,
the Amargosa Stellar Observatory.
You know what I love about Star Trek Generations, apart from the fact it looks fantastic.
And Worf finally got a promotion. Can we just add?
Can't say that it doesn't look fantastic.
Very true.
It looks amazing.
Very true. Putting that D on screen, incredible.
And I didn't like the Enterprise D up until that point. And when I saw it on the big screen, I saw some of the maneuvering they did and stuff. I was like, yeah, that's pretty bloody awesome, actually. And then they blew it up. And I went, there we go.
Starting a trend.
Don't love anything, Lee. That's your lesson. But I tell you what, I love that whole sequence too. When that dish is crashing, I still think that is a standout scene.
Yeah.
Like I love the original Enterprise getting blown up. Like just the effects that they had. You know, they shatter the dish as it explodes, and that's kind of cool. You know, but the rest of it's a little bit, it's early 1980s. Whereas the dish. Yeah. Practically done too, I might add. Not a digital effect, which I think is amazing. Like I had the making of video, which came out when this came out, and it of course shows the entire sequence of how they shot the dish crashing, and it's all real apart from I think some of the close-ups and stuff. Because what they did is they built a scale model and then they just slammed it into the dirt. And just kind of dragged it along this thing, and they had this glass there to capture it. It was a reflection of it, so that it wouldn't smash the camera, and so it went through the glass at the end and stuff. And they had fluoro green for the hills because they explained that comes up on film at looking like grass, all that type of stuff. It looks bloody amazing. I mean, in fairness, there is some niggly bits where you kind of go, would the thing at the top break? It's been exposed to deep space. It's been exposed to to suns and stuff like that. But crashing, skidding on a planet, it cracks for some reason, and then dirt gets all over Riker, which is a famous, I think, trope of Next Generation anyway. Of whenever the bridge is blown up, dirt flies everywhere for some reason. Dirt and rocks.
Yes, there's just a store of rocks.
This is like underneath, like instead of life preservers, they've got like soil and rocks.
Yes.
And whenever they get hit by something, they shoot out and cover Riker with stuff. I hated Kirk's death. It was such a waste because it was like you watched Shatner on screen with Picard and you went, wow, that's actually what chemistry. That is amazing. He's still got it. He's still, even at this age, I completely believe him running down these kind of gangways and beating up Malcolm McDowell. That's awesome. Yeah. And then there's the horse race, the horse jumping and stuff, which is awesome, and it's a wonderful kind of nod to Shatner himself. It was really a beautiful kind of homage to Shatner until they killed him on the bridge. Well, they didn't even kill him on the bridge. They shot him in the back originally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And test audiences hated it.
Yeah. I've seen the footage. It's not good. It's pretty average. He gets shot in the back, and you're kind of like, oh, this isn't a Joss Whedon film. Not that we knew what Joss Whedon films were back then. You can't do it like that. He's got to go out bloody phasers in hand and defending someone that we care about. And that was what I think was always the flaw of the movie, is that they can't stress enough there's a billion people living in the solar system or something. And they're saving them, sure, but we don't see them, and it's just a number. So there's no emotional reason why I'm happy for Kirk to sacrifice himself, because I'm not connected to any of those billion people. And when you say a billion people, and it's very much the case here in Australia, in the real world, where you kind of go, oh look, you can't deal with the fact that one person gets murdered or done whatever, but you can kind of you can go numb to the idea of the numbers in war and stuff, because they've just shown psychologically you almost diminish it in your head, because it becomes just such a kind of large thing that you don't kind of you can't focus on it and have empathy for the entire thing. It's horrible, but a one-on-one story tells you more, like always invokes more empathy from a person, just psychologically. Doesn't make them a bad person. That's just the emotional triggers that we have, because it's part of our biology to protect our loved ones and the weak and etc. So in a film, when you don't give us you tell us that it's important, but we don't see it, and he's not saving someone important, it's not as impactful. Like even Wash in Serenity, when he dies, it's because he's just rescued the ship. So we've just gone through that whole thing. He saved his family.
Yeah.
And then he's killed. And it's like, holy shit, that's amazing. It's horrifying. Yeah. But you still had that emotional connection. Whereas had he died, saving a planet of people we never saw, you're just not going to connect with it as much, and that's the number one flaw of Generations.
Well, then we come to a big blockbuster film, First Contact, sort of the start. Well, no, not really the start. Continuation, and to build us back up with a new ship and a new old threat.
When I went and saw it at the cinema the first time, it's got this amazing soundtrack to it. So it's got this soundtrack which is hauntingly beautiful. And it is probably my favorite of the Next Generation soundtracks. But the thing was about the opening sequence is that the music's I almost get a vibe of mournful. And I remember watching it going, because this is the end of original Star Trek. Like, there is no, you saw Generations, Kirk dies, Kirk could come back, all this stuff. You could still do stuff with the original series. But then we go to the next film, and it is actually the Next Generation. There's no original series in it, and it was almost this, as I say, hauntingly beautiful, almost mournful opening sequence that I was like, wow, that's really, really beautiful. And I actually really and it's not intended as that, I'm sure. Like, it's not even vaguely intended for that, but it's definitely something that emotionally I felt when I was watching it the first time. And then of course we cut into the whole opening sequence of seeing the Borg really fully realized. So a big budget behind and you see, Picard, who is amongst millions of Borg, and then of course it goes in tight and pushes on his eyeball, and it's like, do we have to? But it's a beautiful sequence because it's really, it really gives you scope of the Borg, and then we find out that then we cut back and we see the Enterprise E for the first time, and it's. It's a ship that hasn't 100% captured my heart, but there are certainly scenes where I look at it and go, yeah, okay, I get it. But unfortunately, this opening sequence is not one of those scenes. The dish kind of molds into the rest of it. It's kind of like a bit of a Voyager mix with the Enterprise mixed with something, and I don't know. And there's so much detail on it because it's CGI, not a model, and I just kind of like, yeah, okay. I don't know. I just started liking the D, and now we're at the E, and it's just, I don't know. It's all CGI and stuff like that. So, but I do like it. I do like some of this. I can see some of the angles of it. And I go, oh yeah. From the back, it looks amazing. Whoever kind of, when they designed it, when you're shooting it from behind, the lines of it are just fantastic. They just look fantastic.
We are, of course, talking about the Enterprise E if you are just joining the conversation.
That's right.
We
weren't talking about Picard, although he did work out for this film.
I think the brilliant thing with Star Trek as a production model is that the money they spent on First Contact, they then created, because Trek was in production at this time, Trek TV was in production at this time, they then kept the sets standing and the costumes there, and they went and used it for Voyager. It just carried on that look and the feel.
Although, in saying that, Voyager's engine room is the engine room from Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yes,
which
very
is,
true.
Which is so cool, and has also been, the redressed Enterprise engine room a couple of times, and that's really cool that they can do that. The uniforms, I really like the uniforms. They are horrible to draw. Because they're all black, and this is the thing about the uniforms for Voyager as well, and even Deep Space Nine, to be honest, is that anytime you got an arm crossing over the body, the black, you have to find ways of. Oh, and I'm just because I don't tend to use light reflections that much. I don't tend to do, so I have to find creative ways of doing that. That's just a personal thing on from that point of view. But I love the uniforms look like movie uniforms, and that's what was cool. And then when we saw them on Deep Space Nine, it was like, oh wow, look, a slice of movie has come to Deep Space Nine. Like, Deep Space Nine's production quality was pretty good already, and now it's like, now it's up a little bit further. So,
and then we've got another Borg cube that's made it all the way through to our home system.
Yeah, for reasons.
And the little Defiance for reasons, and the little Defiant is there, the tough little ship,
which is good.
Which is a nice nod to this Star Trek universe.
Yep, and we get Worf's excuse to be on the Enterprise #1, which is good. It's fine. Like, I'm not criticizing it at this point. I'll criticize later on, but I'm not criticizing it at this point because that's clever. It was a clever way of getting them there. We have this amazing kind of fight sequence with the Borg ship, and then the Borg ship goes, you know what? Screw you guys! I got another shape inside me, and spits it out, and then goes and travels through time, which is where we start having problems with the plot. You had the time travel thing. Maybe you should just parked out outside the solar system
instead of
transported through time then.
Yeah.
Instead of doing it then. Or maybe even just transported back in time.
Yeah.
Anywhere else. And then headed on over. I understand there was a last ditch. There's reasons you could probably argue, but I don't think the Borg have a temporal directive, so they would just want to win. No matter what.
I'm just trying to imagine these hundreds of thousands of Borg on the cube, just sort of. I don't know whether we should. Shields are down to 42%. Yeah, well, we better get going then, I suppose.
Okay, look, we're gonna have to break that temporal time directive thing that we've got.
The Queen's not going to be happy.
And this is where we come. Okay. Now, dual side of this. This is a double-edged sword. This one, Queen Borg is an amazing character. She looks amazing. She sounds amazing. Yeah. She is an amazing character. She's also the worst freaking character for the Borg that they could have possibly done, because they gave the Borg a central falling over point. Up until this point, well, no, actually that's not true, because Descent 1 and 2 picked away at the Borg as well. But when we first encounter the Borg, they are unstoppable because there's no reasoning with them. They don't act like we do. They don't conduct conversations with us. They don't reason stuff out. They don't do any of that stuff. They are a wall of blank, faceless Caucasian men who have been transformed into Borg. They are just a collective. That's all they are. And they don't engage with individuals one-on-one. Flash forward to Best of Both Worlds. Yes, we wanted to do something with Picard. I kind of question it, because they didn't. I know the reasoning behind it, saying they needed a spokesperson, but I don't think they did. I think that was just we need to do something with Patrick Stewart.
We need some jeopardy.
Well, it's not even that. It's like, well, okay, how do we kind of convince everyone that he's just another drone? I mean, that would be more powerful in my mind, that he was just another drone. But they used the storyline to, he was commanding stuff, and they used that against him, which again, it's just. That's my biggest problem with Best of Both Worlds, is it's set up to fail, because the solution still would have worked if Picard had just been a drone.
Yep.
And the Borg wouldn't have understood why are you risking everything to rescue a drone. And I would have dug that. So when you bring the Queen on board, she's now, she's this kind of conduit to talk to Data. She's also, she's a voice that Picard used to hear. She's got a personality. She doesn't like stuff. She likes stuff. She's got things going on. She's kind of hitting on Data. There's she's possibly having sex with him. We're not sure. It's kind of hard to kind of, are you fully functional type of thing. It's like, well, actually, yeah, but you see, I'm not, because I'm just the head and shoulders. Everything else is a robot body.
makes it even better.
I wouldn't have bothered building robot genitalia.
Oh, now, come on.
For no reason.
Yeah, for that one time with Data.
Because I'm the Borg. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're just starting to pick away at stuff. So now we've got genitalia on the Borg, so they can do it. And this is kind of, I'm just saying.
And if you want to talk Borg genitalia with Lee, you can hit him up on Twitter at Lee.
You can probably go to my blog about Klingon junk. It's called Two Junk, two Junk, One Warrior. You can go there, and I discuss all things genitalia related as far as Star Trek's concerned, and I will happily discuss the uselessness of having Borg bits. But you know what I mean. It's like so the Borg are no longer faceless. The Borg now have a leader. They have a face that we can put to the Borg's motivations. Whereas before the Borg. They were just blank, and it was terrifying because they were the equivalent of zombies, but they were much more higher functioning than zombies. And the thing which is terrifying about zombies is the sheer volume of them, not just not generally the one personality zombie, but this concept of this wall and this dread and all that type of stuff. And that's what made the Borg really, really terrifying. And then when we kind of started doing this, it's all cool. That's the thing. Double-edged sword, guys. The Queen is cool, don't get me wrong, but we've sacrificed a lot for that kind of storytelling because they're no longer a threat. Because even by Voyager, you got negotiations with the Borg and stuff like that, and it's like, well, yeah, chatting with the Borg isn't new. That's what we do apparently. So, but the film itself, Jonathan Frakes did it, an amazing job of directing it. I think. Some of the characters are probably underused, although like for Dr. Crusher is probably the key there. She didn't have a huge amount to do, but mentioning also the doctor's office, we get to see the EMH, which was an awesome cameo. Really, really clever.
Yeah,
really, really enjoyed that. And we also get to see, I think it's Neelix, is it? Ethan Phillips?
Yes, Ethan Phillips in the holodeck.
I didn't need it, but sure.
Yeah, nice touch.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, why not? He hasn't got his makeup on. That's awesome. Yeah. So overall, like a fun kind of actiony film. Data comes up with the concept that he can get rid of the emotion chip, which I think everyone went, oh, thank God, because if he's going to sing and laugh and carry on in this movie, it's not going to be fun. The Borg are genuinely, when we remove the concept of the Queen and stuff, the Borg themselves are genuinely terrifying. They've sped up their assimilation process a little bit, which is fine, I guess. So we see kind of people get assimilated very quickly, and we also get to see the fact that they're former colleagues and stuff. Most notably, the guy from the bridge who's been in other stuff. Hawk. I was going to say Wolf for some reason.
Ensign Hawk.
It's all the same thing. But I ultimately, and in that whole sequence of removing the deflector dish and stuff, that's great. Of course, when the Enterprise goes to warp next, it'll tear the ship apart, but that's fine. That's not a problem. And of course, when they resolve everything, Zefram Cochrane, yep, sure, people kind of go, oh, doesn't look the same as the one in the episode The Changeling. It's like, yeah, well, it's because it's played by a different actor.
Just quietly.
Yes, didn't get the same guy. Thought it'd be weird. That guy may not do it anymore. Who knows? They may have rang him and said, "Look, we want you to play Zefram Cochrane." And he's like, "I don't act anymore, guys." And they said, "Well, we would like you to play Zefram Cochrane." And he goes, "Oh yeah, cool. But I'm older." "Oh no, we need you to play him younger." "Yeah, I can't do that. I haven't got that down. I'm a good actor, but not that good." James Cromwell, great addition to the Star Trek family. Tom Hanks was originally in line for it. That would have been really interesting.
Oh goodness!
Yeah, he's a massive Trekkie. Tom Hanks is a massive Trekkie, but he was directing his first film, and that's the only reason why he didn't do it.
A little ditty about an Apollo mission, wasn't it?
No. It was That Thing You Do. He was him directing for the first time, which is why he didn't want to skip the opportunity. Otherwise, stupid decision. Yeah, well, it didn't. Yeah. In
didn't fairness, go anywhere, did it?
Yeah. In fairness, but in saying that, we got a decent. Zefram Cochrane out of it, and we got with a hat. and the Steppenwolf soundtrack. So that worked.
What more could you want?
Yeah, well, exactly. And we got to hear Geordie make a urine joke, so that was good.
A leak? A leak?
Yeah, a leak. Oh wow, that's so funny.
Don't you guys in the 24th century pee?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, I
leak.
get pee, but I don't get leak.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let's move.
On that note, let's move on.
let's put the pee in the ground and
yeah. Well, look, because the next film certainly doesn't have any ridiculously stupid jokes.
It's got Gilbert and Sullivan though.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. It's like the oldest. It's the oldest and whitest of all the Star Treks.
And another Starfleet admiral going bad. I mean, it's become a trope now, hasn't it?
It's one of these things, like, so Star Trek Insurrection. I remember the trailer coming out and I was like, yeah, that looks pretty good. And then watching the film going, I don't know if that was good. Because it's just, there are all these weird attempts at humor in the film that don't work. So, of course, Deanna Troi, my favourite is Deanna Troi and Dr. Crusher, who I said in the last film didn't get enough to do, so they've given her stuff to do in this film. She gets a comment about her boobs, and then Data gets to repeat it for comedic effect, which is not so comedic. I don't know what was going on with Brent Spiner in that, because whether or not he's kind of said to Jonathan Frakes, can you make me funny in this? Because I'm pretty funny. And Jonathan Frakes is going, yeah, you are pretty funny, but I don't know if Data is a funny character like that. I think it has to be more situational comedy rather than yada yada jokes. And Brent Spiner's like, I got to put this makeup on. Why don't we just let me do it? And Jonathan Frakes is like, I don't care. Fine, whatever, man. I'm going to direct a Thunderbirds film. That's going to be fantastic and going to do so well.
and of course, at this point, who really cares? Because the characters are so ingrained in the universe that it really doesn't matter what they do and how they do it.
Yeah. So sure, you say your boob joke, and we'll see how we go.
But overall,
but then in fairness, I can't blame completely because some editor looked at that boob joke and went, "It's better than the other stuff we got. Fine, pop it through."
Makes you wonder what the other takes were.
Exactly, yeah. Like, it's how bad was the rest of it? You've got, Worf's. Okay, so Worf's there because of reasons again. Very random reasons this time. He just happens to be visiting, and right. Picard's like in the habit of overlooking the staff that he has, who are all very, very well trained and serving on board the flagship of the Federation for the guy that used to work for him. Yeah, not because Worf's particularly any more skilled than any other officer of equivalent training and rank, but you just happen to be here, man. So you could just ring Deep Space Nine and just tell them that you're not coming back. And Worf's like, yeah, I just got married though, so I wouldn't mind spending some time with my bride. They're like, yeah. No
wonder the wedding was. No wonder the marriage was so short-lived. She went and did something.
Exactly, because it's like, we just got engaged, and Worf's like, yep, I'm just going to be hanging out with my old buddies at old work
for the honeymoon. I'm just going to leave you alone, all right?
Yeah, and and I would have liked to have seen this. There should have been a cut scene where Picard rings Sisko and says, "Oh, look, kind of need Worf," and then Sisko, because he'd be taking no shit on that. He'd be like, "Why?" Oh, because
reasons.
He's a really good tactical officer. You don't have any tactical officers there on board the Enterprise.
The flagship.
None. No one's trained to do tactical.
No one.
Really?
No one at all.
Honestly, you don't even know what this. You don't even know that this is a big deal. You don't even know what the problem is yet. You're like, we think our androids got problems. So I'd like to take your tactical officer with me. Yep. You could. I've really got a lot of work for him to do here.
There's reports to be filed.
Yeah, we're thinking about we might be getting into a Dominion war.
The Dominion war was over at that point, wasn't it?
I'll just borrow him though. Oh, was it?
She's long dead. That's right. I'm remembering my sequence now.
Oh, well, there you go. You had free time. Okay, no, I'm fine. I didn't think I thought the Dominion war was still
because
still a thing in Insurrection, because I thought that was Nemesis, because he's the attaché to the thingy.
Oh, was it Nemesis?
In Nemesis. I think you're fine as Nemesis, because Nemesis is the next weird excuse. So anyway, Insurrection, we got to go to the Briar Patch, which is a place of indeterminable place. There's a bunch of people who live on the Fountain of Youth. That's good. There's a bunch of people who don't live on the Fountain of Youth, wouldn't mind living on the Fountain of Youth, and they have their faces stretched, even though nanotechnology probably would do the job fine. like stretching.
Yeah.
It's probably not the greatest solution for a spacefaring group of people, but anyway, I digress.
They have something that I want.
I digress into criticism of logic, but anyway. So we have F. Abrams, F something Abrams?
F. Murray.
Abrams. Yep.
Abrams. Yep.
He's an excellent actor.
JJ's father.
He's an excellent actor and a great villain. Doesn't have a huge amount to do here. He does his yelling bits and his bleeding bits really, really well, and he's kind of does the psycho kind of routine desperation kind of thing. But again, we're all kind of a little bit like, why didn't they just move to the other side of the planet and just kind of fly in, fly out when they didn't want to be there?
Because the rings didn't have that effect or such.
Is that what we're saying? Because I don't think no, but they just could have lived on the other side of the continent.
And they were just a village.
You know what? Exactly. I don't see anyone in Ipswich. I live in Brisbane. I don't see anyone in Ipswich. So, to be honest, they could have moved to Ipswich. And I wouldn't have known.
They would have fitted
and they
right
would have
in.
seen me. And they could have had their own Kmart. And they could have had their own Big W and stuff. And they would never have had to come over to the other village. Unless they wanted to.
Exactly.
So their options are open. These are dumb people. They don't... And then they conquered people, apparently.
Yeah,
there's not that many of them.
No, I am pretty sure because the Sonar, which were the face-lifting people, they were helping the Dominion. And that was mentioned.
No, they weren't helping the Dominion. They were... hang on. Weren't they selling weapons or something?
They were manufacturing large... Now I've lost it.
What, all five of them?
They were manufacturing large quantities of Ketracel White for the Jem'Hadar.
Well, see, watching the film, looking at that... Oh, yeah, no, the Dominion War was over by then. You're right.
Yeah.
Because they said our losses. No, because they said our losses, and that's why we were just letting war criminals in.
That's right.
But I still, like, from what I saw of them, there was like 20 of them.
Oh, maybe there were 35. I don't know. Maybe they were really good at their job.
But they could have built others. I'm just saying that there's a lot of problems with this if you want to scratch the surface.
And Lee, if we can't come up with it in a 30-minute podcast, I don't think the writers could have done it in the 6 months that they had to write the film.
I feel that they just latched onto an idea and just didn't bother digging any deeper.
And just ran with it.
I just feel that they didn't put the Avatar level of thinking about the planet into play here. So everyone's getting younger. Geordie's got his eyes back, even though I thought he didn't have his eyes from birth.
They're implants now.
So not really sure why they grew back, because he didn't have them at all. But I may be wrong on that. I thought it was from birth. I don't think he'd ever been able to see.
No, I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah. So everyone's getting younger. Worf's got pimples.
Things that don't work now
Deanna
work.
Troi's boobs are a little bit firmer. Not that they worry about things like that, apparently.
Exactly.
Is the joke. They're singing Gilbert and Sutherland at the start. There is a lot in this film which is just happening. And it's a fun romp. It's a good soundtrack. It's a fun romp. But it's not a great film.
It's a next generation TV show. It's a next generation episode in a feature film.
Expanded.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to follow up First Contact, you really needed to slam something. It didn't have to be, we didn't have to up the stakes. We just needed to keep it. It needed to be really interesting. And I just don't find this one interesting because there's so many questions about all of it. It's a little bit like Gremlins.
And it's a little bit like Nemesis, I think.
Well, I kind of look at it in this manner of... I see what you're trying to do, but I don't have a huge amount to say about Nemesis. So, I just feel that they just they went down the Gremlins path of, feeding it after midnight. All one's just daylight savings, that type of thing. And I do need to mention that the Enterprise has a joystick.
Yes, a pop-up joystick in the floor.
In the floor.
So it's probably lucky he wasn't standing 2 centimeters to the right or to the front.
What? I just don't even know what to do with that. I don't know. We'll call this the Riker Maneuver.
Yeah.
And Riker's like, I'd rather not.
Please don't involve me in this.
This is pretty dumb. I don't know. it's a bit of a mess, but it's a good episode. Like, it's a real fun episode.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
so I do like Insurrection. I don't wail on it. I just think that you can't look at the episode, you can't look at the movie too deeply.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Nemesis, where oh boy,
we're a non Star Trek fan, where they thought a non Star Trek fan could direct a movie.
Yep, and he cut Will Wheaton out.
Will Wheaton,
like a dick. He cut Wesley Crusher out of the film.
Yeah.
What a waste of a day.
Who's this guy? Do we need him?
It's like, I'm just gonna cut him out. It's fine. And it's like, are you serious? Because like, he gave up his whole day to be here.
Worf's back for more reasons.
Worf's back for the wedding.
Oh, the wedding, of course.
And there is genuinely funny lines at the start of this where Worf's kind of saying, I don't want to be naked, and everyone's like making jokes and stuff, and it's actually genuinely funny. Picard's line where I'm going to go head to the gym is an absolute banger of a joke.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. And then unfortunately, then it's not very funny from there on in. I always feel Nemesis came just after 9/11, and I always feel that Nemesis missed what the world needed at the time, and the world didn't necessarily want to see death and destruction and ramming and destruction that was very reminiscent of what we had seen on the news. And I don't know, I think I think people weren't keen to have that darkness in their lives at that stage. And had Star Trek come out with a Star Trek 4 or something, even another Insurrection, for God's sakes, boob jokes, they may have done better. It may have been better received. And I just think that they just missed the mark timing-wise. Although in saying that, I don't think it was a particularly great film at the same time. I don't get emotional about Data dying.
Yeah, it was kind of just...
For good reason now, apparently.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. But it was kind of just thrown in there as sort of... Really, there's nothing that's going to work.
There's nothing else you could do. You couldn't just throw this rock at them. Yeah, no, exactly. This is the best we've got, and the only transporter we've got is this one little dot thing.
And I think for me personally, I think the biggest thing with it is that this is the way that this movie is the reason that Star Trek wrapped up. Star Trek on the big screen wrapped up, and to be left with that legacy is so disappointing. To come back at it now, almost 20 years later, 20 years later, it's actually I don't think it's necessarily that bad. It's like.
It's okay. It's like
the Final Frontier. It's like
it's certainly not up there towards the top though. It's
certainly
Insurrection's better.
But I mean, it's certainly got those moments where you just roll your eyes and you just go, oh yes, we're actually watching a science fiction fantasy show here. And then it's got the other parts where it's contributing to the Star Trek universe.
Well, you got the Argo, which is
really.
It's like, oh look,
how long's that been in the ship?
Dune buggy.
Why have we never seen it before?
And who cares?
And does it really add to the story?
You've also got a giant freaking starship.
With transporters.
Which are awesome. And also,
it doesn't
there's
tell
other
an
little
interesting
things
story
that are annoying in it, like B4, apart from the name. This whole kind of concept of, we found a positronic reading. Oh my God, what could it be? And no one says law.
From systems away, mind you, light years away.
Yeah.
We just pick up a positronic life form.
Oh my Lord, we found a positronic life form.
Were they scanning for it? How did it come up on the scanners?
This is it. Well, because Worf is filling in his time because he's like, I'm not even supposed to be here. What do you want me to do? And someone just went, I don't know, search for positronic shit or something. And he's like,
as a bit of a laugh.
Will do, haha, because I am the attaché to the Chancellor of the thingy.
Yeah, that's right. That's very true.
So anyway, you see, so they find a positronic, but no one says anything about law.
He didn't exist at that point.
And I'm just like, well, I don't even remember where law finished off, but surely someone went, well, you did have another, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And they find the head and they're like, oh my God, it looks like you. And it's like, because we've never seen that before. It's like, well, we had a whole storyline numerous times of law. Yeah. And then this kind of, I don't know, I don't know, just transferring his stuff to his stuff. I don't know. It's like, I don't know if that's how programming works, but just... That's fine. It didn't work with your daughter, so it's cold. I know it's too soon.
Cold.
I know it's too soon, but Geordie should drop that truth bomb on him.
Well, look, it'll be very interesting to see where they take it with Star Trek Picard. Apparently, obviously, it's going to be picked up, although possibly Picard's having hallucinations and dreams or
that'd be
such.
good. Oh, God, I hope he's hallucinating everything. Oh, geez, that'd be a kick, wouldn't it? It was all a dream.
A lot of fan service.
Yep.
And then
Picard wakes up in the vineyard.
Yes.
What was that? Oh, I was having a terrible dream. Dreamt Data was still alive.
Where's my nephew?
Yeah.
Where's my brother?
Oh, it's a terrible, terrible dream.
Too soon.
Yeah.
Well, Lee Sargent, it's been fun to talk the Next Generation films with you. We are now one episode away from wrapping up the entire Star Trek franchise in our Talkin' Trek 2019 series. Of course, before they go and shove more Star Trek down our throat in 2020, so we might have to keep the series going or something.
Well, we didn't go back and talk about Discovery Season 2, I don't think. But
no.
I'm not threatening that, though.
well, we've got Discovery Season 2. I've discovered that the Best of Both Worlds is a bit of an irk for you as well. So there's another one.
Because I really love it. It's my favorite. It's amongst my favorite episodes. But there is a distinct logical problem with devaluing the Borg's threat.
I suppose you could actually look at it this way and go, well, there are potentially 750 episodes that we could talk about, one for every show.
Well, yeah, we could, but
I don't know. The amount of time it takes us to set up a set up a meeting, we'll be here in 20 years.
Exactly.
Mate, I do love it. I do appreciate your time. Everyone, you can find Lee Sargent on Twitter at Lee Sargent.
Yep.
Lee draws stuff on Facebook. He's got a blog as well. He's got opinions. He likes to hear from trolls about how his opinions are wrong, don't you, Lee?
Actually, you know what? I only like to engage in alien genitalia conversations.
Well, there you go. Alien genitalia.
I am a specialist in canon alien genitalia.
Two bits, one Klingon.
Two junk, one Klingon.
Two junk, one Klingon.
Kapla.
There we go.
Two junk, one Kapla.
Well, Lee Sargent, we will see you on the next episode for the JJ films to wrap up our Talkin' Trek 2019.
Excellent.